Today's Morphin Network video is sponsored by Ranger Stop and Pop, which is March 5th to the 7th, 2021 in Atlanta, Georgia, and Ranger Stop Convention, which is now November 11th to the 14th, 2021 in Orlando, Florida. Go to rangerstop.com for more info.
This is Austin St. John, Jason, the original Red Ranger. You are watching the Morphin Network.
Hi, welcome to another special episode of Ranger Comic Time. I'm your host for today. It is Jen Pink, and it's nice to meet you. It feels really amazing. Usually we're live on Facebook only, but now that we got Facebook and YouTube doing via live, it's made it better and more viewers can see. So yeah, welcome to another episode of Ranger Comic Time. Today we're gonna be reviewing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 55. And for anyone that doesn't know, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 55 is actually going to be the last final issue of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series. So I'm excited, and this issue actually has a lot of cliffhangers. And yeah, we'll get into that and delve into the storyline and everything. But I really like this comic book issue right here. I'll give you a better look at it. Hold up. Let me see if I can get the overlay out there. But yeah, this where is it showing? Where is it? Oh yeah. So this cover right here is so beautiful. Like I love it because you want to know something. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 55. This one particularly only specifically focuses on just the Power Rangers. They didn't talk about the Omega Rangers like the last issue. The last issue that we reviewed, which was issue 54, that storyline only focused on the Omega Rangers. So I really like that this one is only focused on the Power Rangers itself. Not saying that, that they need to be, they need to have their separate entities. They have separate comic series, like what they're gonna do in the sequels, which is a separation of Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers. For anyone that doesn't know, the MMPR series is actually not ending; it's continuing. It's just the difference is that Mighty Morphin is just gonna focus on the Power Rangers in Angel Grove, and the Power Rangers, let's see, the Power Rangers comic book series is gonna focus on Omega Rangers, which is really nice because the Omega Rangers are finally getting their own comic book series. Personally, I'm a little sad that they had to like end up switching it in half, meaning like they continued it, but it's gonna be like Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers split in half. I would have liked it better, in my opinion, if it was just if they still continued the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series, but then they'd have a spin-off where it's just the Omega Rangers. It's kind of like I kind of like it that way, kind of like how they did the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with Go Power Rangers, where it takes you to a scene before the incident happened, and I like that better. But that's just my opinion. I don't mind the fact that they split it in half. That it's Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers split into two stories, but still continuing the same two different storylines, but still have the same still the same timeline. That's what I mean. So yeah, it's just I'm a little sad that this is gonna be the last Mighty Morphin Power Ranger comic series. So I don't want to keep rambling on and on, but yeah, let's get started. So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 55 actually picks up in issue 53, not issue 54. Issue 54 was when the Omega Rangers battled Imperial, the one that turns dead things into life. He looks like an angel, in my opinion, from Neon Genesis Evangelion, but that's just me. This one picks up in 53 where Zordon starts terrorizing Angel Grove. This time Zordon sends in his what's that word again? The Dark Rangers and the Terror Zords, which by the way, the Terror Zords are really cool in this scene. I really love the way the Terror Zords look like. They remind me of villains from they look like characters from Bloodborne. Like the monsters from Terror Zords straight up look like they come from hell. And I really like that because it's something different that I never see. In my opinion, I like seeing something different where it's not where it's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it's not just those typical monsters. It's like something like crazy, like devilish, I guess you can say, in a children's show. Because I grew up watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I always saw monsters as like how do I say not so devilish looking. So this one's they have the Terrazors have a beautiful look and design to them. So yeah. So what I wanted to say was this issue actually starts off with Zordon terrorizing Angel Grove radio right here. So I just want to give you a scene. It's really beautiful. This fight scene right here is where the Power Rangers. Wait, why is it so blurry? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, fine. I'll just give you a better visual. But like this scene right here, this is where like this really is a really beautiful. I like to say this is a kaiju fight kind of. So it's like the Terror-Zords are fighting against the Power Rangers and also the Dark Rangers and whatnot. And the Terror-Zords, like they look like, I don't know, they look really cool. It's like a monster beast. And yeah, so in this issue we see that the Power Rangers are actually having a really hard time fighting against the Terror-Zords and the battle and the terrors and the what's that word, the Dark Rangers. So yeah, Lord, so then because of that, like the Power Rangers, since they're in really really deep trouble, Billy, remember from a couple issues, Billy the Blue Ranger um actually contacts Grace Sterling for backup. Keep in mind also, I want to let you know this, that when Blue Billy calls Grace Sterling for backup, Zordon doesn't know about their secret agreement, because remember, Billy and Grace Sterling back in Promethea um are working together because they found out about the green psycho dagger that they have, but like Zordon doesn't know about it because remember the green crystal was shattered, so they thought that all the Green Ranger power was gone, but it's not. So yeah, that's another story to go. But yeah, so Billy contacts the Blue Ranger, and oh my, Billy the Blue Ranger contacts Grace Sterling. Oh my gosh, I love the way Grace Sterling looks here. Look at that, she looks so badass, and I love this because she has like these glasses. Like she's so badass in this, and she's like, "I'm on it." Grace Sterling's like, "I'm on it." So it picks up there, but then on the next page, right? The Power Rangers, they're in deep trouble. So it got even worse. So we find out that the Terror-Zords are fused together into what's called a what's that thing called? It's called a Mega Terror-Zord, which is kind of like a Megazord. I guess you can say it's like a. It's really funny because they're already a Zord, and then they make a Megazord together, and then they just added like Terror-Zord. I wish it could have been different, but it's fine. So then they fuse together and they create this thing called Terrorzord, which by the way, that character looks so cool. I love that. Like it literally looks like an angel from Neon Genesis Evangelion with um what's that word called? With Bloodborne. I don't know if you guys play that game, but yeah, it reminds me of that. I love this. I really like the way the Mega Terrazords look in this issue. Like they look so cool. I admire the comic book series because the villains here and like the monsters, they look so good. They look so animated, but they look different from what I grew up at. And I really admire that. And I wish, more people could see the way these villains look, like Imperial, the what's that word? New Haven, like the aliens, they look way better. Like I don't know if it's the art style, but I just love the design and everything. But yeah, going on to what I'm saying is, so in this issue, Terrazord comes in together. Mega Terrazord, comes in. The Terrazords fuse together to create Mega Terrazord. So then, because of that, the Power Rangers, in order to combat the Mega Terrazord, they use their new form they use a new form called Tiger Megazord. And this is when Rocky, the Red Ranger, has his own Zord. By the way, this Zord looks like a samurai Zord kind of little, but look here it is. So in order the Power Rangers to combat them, they created two Zords versus one. So it's like the Tiger Zord here, and then on your left side we see what's his name again? Oh yeah, Rocky. I forgot his name already. Let me look it up. But yeah, he's like Rocky. I forgot. I don't really know what Rocky's Zord looked like, but I'm gonna just call it Rocky Zord. So it's two Zords versus one Terra Megazord. So this issue is really really cool. But you notice that like it lives off in an ambiguous state because on the next page we see Grace Sterling talk in the command center, not the command center, but in the prison cell command center where Lord Draken's at. So this is really, really cool. So it gets back to the next page, right? Back at the command center, Zordon and Alpha are watching the battle, right? And see that the Power Rangers are in trouble. So he sends out like this long communication thing to ask for backup. AKA he asked the Omega Rangers, I believe, to ask for backup. But I really thought the Omega Rangers were gonna come here and actually save the day. But this time it's actually different as you go on to other pages. So yeah, but it's weird because the Omega Rangers didn't help at all. So we don't know what happened. But in this issue, while this is going on, because you remember Zordon and Alpha are looking at the battle, and it looks like the Power Rangers are gonna lose. So while this is going on, Grace Sterling is in prison at the command center, as I said, talking to Lord Draken, and it seems like they're having like a little bickering or gone and on. Grace Sterling offers him this new deal because remember in the previous issue 52, 51, where Grace Sterling was looking for a new Green Ranger to fill in that role, and it was funny because when they looked at the potential candidates they mentioned names from BR Troopers. So I believe BR Troopers are canon also in the Power Ranger comics, but by the looks of it, it seems like Lord Draken might be the new Green Ranger, which I thought was kind of interesting because I feel like Lord Draken couldn't be the only one since he's already been the Green Ranger, the original one, to fit that role. So yeah, so Grace told him that like in this issue where he's like looking at him, right? He's like you either stay in prison and rot or you can make something yourself. And this is where I really like. She says, so you can give yourself a second chance, which really ties into the element of this issue, um, this comic book issue called Second Chance, because we don't know. Do you like? That's when we learn. Like, do you think like Lord Draken is gonna have his own redemption? Is Lord Draken going to have a change of heart? Is he still going to be evil? Is he going to betray the Rangers? We don't know, but I really like that it's called the Second Chance because as you get further onto the issue, you find out the Green Ranger. We don't know if it's Lord Draken. I could assume that it's Lord Draken that's filled in the new role as the new Green Ranger, but we don't know yet because you can't confirm or deny it since the last page didn't really show his face. But yeah, so the comics kind of left ambiguous on that one, and you can tell like Lord Draken is like making a tough choice. So it ends off in that cliffhanger. So on to the next page. The Rangers are like really look like. So on the next page we see that like the Rangers really look like they're about to lose. Like they are in deep trouble. Lord Zed tells the Dark Rangers and the Terrorsaur to finish them off. And so out of nowhere, right when the Rangers are about to lose, right? Lord Zed comes over, and Lord Zed comes over and grabs his green chaos crystal, and then next thing you know it, he gets attacked by the new Green Ranger right here. And I love this scene because, whoa, I really, really love this one because you can tell that Lord Zed is shocked and confused because remember, Lord Zed was the one that took Tommy's Green Ranger powers away. So Lord's confused. He's like, how is the Green Ranger still alive? And how is his morpher still working? So that's when, like, remember, Grace Sterling is the one that's doing behind the scenes work. So Lord Zed and the Green Ranger, we don't know if it's Tommy yet. We know that it's the new Green Ranger. We know it's a new Green Ranger and they end up in this like beautiful battle that I thought was really cool. But then the fight ends as he grabs not Tommy, Lord Draken. Actually, I'm not gonna say Lord Draken. I'm gonna say the new Green Ranger picks up and destroys the green chaos crystal, which by the way was really surprising because Lord Zed's like, no, you're gonna kill us all. So then when the new Green Ranger destroys the green chaos crystal, on like a automatic shockwave happens, right? And it's really cool. So there's like this big ass shockwave that happens. Kind of reminds me of Akira when Akira, the little boy, weakens up his powers and then destroys the whole city. Read the manga; it's really good. But it kind of gives me that homage of what happened in Akira, where like the city's destroyed, but it doesn't really get destroyed. But what I'm trying to say is, there's this big shockwave that happens, and of course, the day is saved, and the Rangers are saved by the new Green Ranger, right? And then we find out in the next page, like what do you call it? The Dark Rangers are depowered. Is that the word you say? They lose their powers because remember the Green Chaos Crystal. The Dark Rangers got their powers from the Green Chaos Crystal, but since the new Green Ranger destroyed the Green Chaos Crystal, they become powerless, And in this issue, it was really cool because Lord Zed is also destroyed. Lord Zed is also like destroyed, and Oh, and by the way, this is the there. I forgot to point out, but this is the scene where he destroys the Green Chaos Crystal, the new Green Ranger, and it looks really cool the way he destroyed it with his Dragon Dagger. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is like um the the day is saved. The new Dark Rangers are powerless, and of course Lord Zed is collapsed. Like he tries to escape, and then you can tell he's collapsed. And then you find out that the new Putty Reader, Rita. By the way, keep in mind you know how the Dark Rangers also has Rita included into it, but this one's not the real Rita. This is the Putty Rita that Mister created. She ends up escaping. I really thought that if they depower if the green chaos crystal is destroyed, that means that Rita is depowered. But I guess Putty Rita is not, because we find out that Putty Rita actually escaped somewhere in Angel Grove, so we don't know much about what's going on. But yeah, it ends up in that issue. We don't really know what happens to the rest of the villains, but we know that I think Lord Zed escaped and ended up teleporting. So yeah, that was really cool. I really, really thought the Omega Rangers were gonna save the day, but it's the new Green Ranger. And I really like this issue because in the last 2 pages we see I believe the new Green Ranger and Grace Sterling up in Promethea. For anyone that doesn't know, Grace Sterling lives in Promethea in her little I guess what you can say, her spaceship. But yeah, she and they're like, and like I like the scene because Grace Sterling's like, good job, good job. So Grace Sterling is talking with the new Green Ranger, right? Telling him, good job, I'm glad you destroyed the Green Chaos Crystal. And Grace Sterling says, like, to the new Ranger, if you work with me, then there are some rules that you need to follow. And if you break them, then you're going to have to pay for them. And it goes to show you it's kind of like that same deal that she made a discussion with Lord Draken. We cannot confirm or deny. I cannot confirm with you if the new Green Ranger is Lord Draken, but in previous issues it looks like she did make a deal, but we don't know if Lord Draken accepted that deal. But yeah, and I really thought this was cool because I never thought that if it was Lord Draken playing as the new Green Ranger, he would save the day. And what I want to know is, I don't know if Lord Draken would be too stubborn to follow that, or it could have been something else. Maybe it could have been a new ranger that we never saw, and it was not Lord Draken after all who plays as the new Green Ranger. So yeah, so Green Ranger in this panel, like I love this issue because you see him taking off his helmet, but you don't see his face, and I love that. I love that panel right here. Like I love that panel, like right here. I'm gonna show it right now. And it's in this beautiful cliffhanger, which, by the way, leads up to, it follows up to the next issue that you're going to be reading, which is Mighty Morphin #1, which I really like. I really like that. So Grace Sterling's like, now that you're on my team, I have a few rules. You have to break them. I have a few rules, and if you break them, you'll pay for it. And then towards the end, she says, I promise we'll both get exactly what we want. To be continued in Mighty Morphin #1. So it ends off in that cliffhanger. Overall, I think this was a good finale of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue. The MMPR comics didn't really end. It's just that it's gonna be split in half, so that way the Omega Rangers have their own comic series, which is Power Rangers, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the original Power Ranger, not original, but the Power Rangers with the Stone Canyon trio included, are having their own issue, which is called Mighty Morphin. So yeah, I'm really excited, and since it ended into a Mighty Morphin #1, I want to see where that goes. I want to see how the story ties in with everything that's been going on in the universe. I want to know what's going to happen in terms of Shattered Grid. I want to know if like the Morphin Grid's going to get destroyed. We don't know yet. And I love that. I love that Ryan Parrott did such a good job ending this in a cliffhanger, because on one hand, we can it's pretty obvious that Lord Draken could be the new Green Ranger, but at the same time, we can't make that assumption because you saw on the last page, he takes off his helmet, but we don't show his face. So it also could be the new Green Ranger could be something else, because it seems like Lord Draken's just too evil to take on that task. So we don't know, and I love that. I love that it's ambiguous. It has beautiful fight scenes, and yeah, my overall thoughts and opinion on this is I give this an 8 out of 10. I think this was a good finale. I kind of wish it would have gone more into detail. Like, I remember in issue 50, I believe, a couple issues away. You remember when they showed Lord Draken? Um, Lord Draken, you know how she's saying they're coming. It was like a 30-page issue. I wish it would have been more for finale, but it was just a regular comic book issue pages. I really wish they could have like added more pages to a final issue of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series, because this Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series is so good and it sells well, and I love that there are fans that still, are diehard, reading these comics, because I love it. I love what they did. I love that they didn't have. I love that Ryan Parrott doesn't have to retell the same story as what you did, as what you've seen, in the cartoons, right? I love that they didn't really have to show the whole power transfer between the original, the power transfer where what's his name? I forgot. It was Tommy. No, it was Jason, Trini, and Zach transferring their powers over to the Stone Canyon trio. I like that Ryan didn't have to include that, because we already seen that in the live action. I love that you didn't really have to. I love that he didn't have to retell his story, because the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger comic book fans already know the story. I love that, it's, I don't want to say it's retold, but it's done in a different way, and I like that, because you know what, the Omega Rangers have their own issue. I really thought that they were just gonna end up in Switzerland at a because after the peace conference, and yeah, and I'm glad that the Omega Rangers have their own comic. My only opinion for this comic book issue is I really wish it wasn't called Mighty. It didn't split in half as Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers. I really wish they really could have just continued with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then had their new issue, had a new comic story arc called Omega Rangers instead of Power Rangers. Because the Power Rangers aren't the Power Ranger comic series doesn't follow the series of Power Rangers. It follows Omega Rangers. So that's just my thoughts and opinion. But yeah, overall 8 out of 10. The artwork is beautiful. The design is beautiful. I love the villains. The villains are my favorite design from the comic book series. Ryan Parrott, to me, designed monsters, but like in a very cool way. Like, I don't know. I feel like he may have been watching Bloodborne and Neon Genesis Evangelion and got inspiration from these villains, because they look a lot similar to those characters. Like, they look like characters straight from hell. You know what I mean? And I like that. So yeah, I guess that's overall my final issue of issue 55. And yeah, and while I'm at it, let me just read some comments. No Cummings says, hi. Hi! Thank you for watching. Geekimus Prime. Geekimus Prime. Hi, hello. Thank you for watching YouTube Live. I just want to let you know from now on, Ranger Comic Time is going to be live on both Facebook and YouTube. So stay tuned. And yeah. And then Kiryu Godzilla says, hi. Hi! And then let me see another comment. Last page of issue 55 is inspired by the very first page of. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I could understand, because you know how it was left in ambiguous for that one. I actually didn't read issue 50, but that would have been really cool, and I like that. Last page of issue 55. I love that it ends in a cliffhanger. And yeah, I want to see where that goes. Mighty Morphin, I think it comes out next week, the new issue, so I'll be reviewing that. And yeah, overall, thank you guys so much. And I just want to say that we've been reviewing Mighty Morphin Power. I've been reviewing Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series since, I believe, Shattered Grid started. No, not Shattered Grid. Well, okay, it was Shattered Grid in the previous podcast but I started in what's the other one called again? I forgot. It was the boring one. It was about the Solar Ranger. Beyond the Grid. There you go. I started reviewing comics for Beyond the Grid, and even Shattered Grid before that in the previous comic. And I just want to give you my special thank you for all of those that tune in and watch Ranger Comic Time. I know it's every month, for an issue, unlike some of the other shows that are every week. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching our shows, supporting us, like us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and yeah. And for all social media, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's facebook.com/morphinet. That is MorphinNet. And you can find us on YouTube, Morphin Network, I believe, Morphin and Network. And you can find us on Instagram at MorphinNet. Instagram.com/Morphinet. That's MorphinNet. And yeah, and keep us, and you can follow me on Instagram on Instagram.com/Jen Messina. That is GenMesina. And then you can find me on Twitter at JenPink2, GenPink2. And yeah, I know you'll see me sometimes on Facebook using my government name, but if you can, like for the events, unless I know you in real life, please don't add me as a friend on Facebook. My personal Facebook is kind of like just for personal people that I know. But yeah, just you can follow me on Instagram. I'm more public there, and yeah, I think that's all that I have for today. You can find us on social media sites. I think I already said a plug, right? I already talked about the review, social media plug. This really sucks. I really wish I had Noemi with me. It would have made things great. Hold up. David Ortega said, clap, clap. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for liking and supporting us. Throughout these, I believe 2 years now. 2 years that we've been doing this. Please keep in contact and don't forget about Ranger Comic Time and all the other shows, Ranger Podcast Live, Writer Time Special, Sentai Hero Special. And yeah, thank you guys. And I guess I'll see you in the next one, which is Mighty Morphin. We're gonna review Mighty Morphin issue number 1 in the next podcast. So be on the lookout for that. And also Power Rangers. I don't know when that one come out yet because they didn't really give us the info and dates, but yeah, that Power Rangers issue number 1 is also gonna come out. So yeah, thank you. Bye bye.